Hey everybody, welcome to the intro to the KleinHausCRM. I'm just going to show you the general overview and most useful things for you guys. And down the road we'll get more into the nitty-gritty details. But first things first, let's log in. So we're going to go to our web browser and type in app.kleinhauscrm.com, potentially. app.kleinhauscrm.com and hit enter, and it'll take you to this page, and you're going to enter in your login credentials. You should have those. If you don't, let me know and I'll send you some new ones. But once you sign in, it'll take you to your likely launchpad. If it doesn't, it'll take you to your dashboard. No big deal. In the launchpad, it just kind of gives you an overview of the different integrations you can make. All of these are free integrations except for Yext, which we can work out if you'd like to. What it does is increase your SEO and your online presence significantly and immediately. So reach out to me if that's interesting to you. Right now I'm in a test account, so nothing's really connected here. What I'm going to do is head over to the Midwest Foundations CRM, and we're going to go to the dashboard because I made a donation through a funnel, and so we've got some pretty colors in our dashboard to refer to. What you're going to see here in your dashboard is your opportunities, pipeline, value, and conversion rate. Now, what this is based on are opportunities. Your pipeline value is based on who of your contacts in your opportunities have been given a dollar value. So whether they're coming in for a product, service, donation, sponsorship, what have you, if you enter that amount, it'll be shown here. And then the conversion rate will say how many of those contacts have you closed, opened, or lost. So since I've only done this one, we've only got one opportunity in this account, and I paid it, right? So we have a 100% conversion rate. As we scroll down, we'd see the different values through the funnels and the stage distributions. We can change those. So if we used a different pipeline, which is in our opportunities, we could check out the different values and such here as well. And here again. So, and as you move down, you'll see different metrics like your Google My Business, your different lead sources if you have them connected to different funnels and social media accounts and Google. And then this section here is bulk actions like group texts, group emails, stuff like that. And then any tasks and such that you've assigned to you or any of your teammates. From there, let's get to the next most important thing, and that's our pipelines. So in the opportunities here, we have different pipelines for different sections of our organizations. With this particular group, they host a bunch of different clubs, so rugby clubs, and in it is stored the main contact for each club. Then we have donors, so people that either donate one time or are on recurring donation status. Then we have an endowment pipeline, so people that are interested in contributing financially to the long-term vision of the organization, and then sponsors, people that help sponsor the club, or the foundation rather. Now, your organization may have different pipelines, and you can add and remove as you wish. Let me go to a rugby club template, and you'll see that it's a little different. We have volunteers, staff, sponsors, players, and donors. If we go to our not quite set up, but somewhat set up, own pipeline here. We have sales pipeline, marketing pipeline, and our team, so our staff. But let me go back to this rugby club one. And let's say, you may have this yellow bar up here saying that you don't have a phone number. Don't worry about it. Just reach out to me if you're looking for a custom phone number. What we can do is go over to pipelines, say if we need to add a new one. So we already have volunteers, staff, sponsors, players, and donors. But let's say that this organization wants to add in parents, right? So they are doing some youth programs. What we can do is come in and create a new pipeline. We'll say parents. And what we can do is create the stage names. Those are the different categories in our pipeline. So we could say interested, we'll add a stage, currently involved, former involved, gone for a while, etc. And here, visible in funnel chart, this is on your dashboard, right? Both of these are on your dashboards. And we can add or remove or move them around however we want. Once we hit save, you'll see that it's listed here on our pipelines. And if we go back to our opportunities, you'll see that it's now in our drop down here. And we go to parents, and this is what it looks like. We've got our interested, former involved, gone for a while, and currently involved. Now, let's say that we've talked to somebody on the phone or in an email or in person, and they're interested in becoming part of our organization as a parent. What we can do is come in and hit new, and we put in our contact information name, parent 1, and we add an email for them. Add a phone number, and we can add a company name. We can add tags, which are super important. We'll get into in a second. We're going to add the parent tag because we don't currently have that in there. And let's say that they're interested in volunteering, so we can click volunteer. What I typically do is for the opportunity name is I use their name depending on the organization, but in this case we would use their name as the opportunity name. It's not going to let me use this number, so let me just use my company number. And down here we can pick which pipeline that we want to put them in, what stage they're in. So we just created those, right? Interested, formerly involved, gone for a while, currently involved. And this is, are they still interested, right? Well, if they're currently involved, then we might change their status to 1. If they have been gone for a while and we can't get a hold of them, maybe they're lost or abandoned. But right now we're going to leave them as open and interested. And we'll add a lead value. This doesn't really make sense, but let's say you have a new lead for a product that you're selling or a sponsorship that you're getting, right? Like maybe a sponsor wants to spend $2,500 to get a sign up. You can add an owner, so this comes from the team of your organization in the CRM, and then you can put the source. So let's say in person. And we'll hit add. So that adds this contact to our opportunity pipeline. Now, from here, let's say that we've had another conversation with them, and they've signed up, they've paid their dues, or they've done this sponsorship, they've paid for it. What we can do is just drag and drop them into currently involved or into the 1 category, and you'll notice that they disappear. Well, this is a really important factor. by default, this section right here is on open because the system's set up for you to close deals. So what we want to do is hit this drop down and hit all. But we can also look at just the people or contacts that we've won, just the ones that we've lost, abandoned, etc. Now, this is in one, so they're no longer interested. We can just drag them over to currently involved. Now, if we go back to our dashboard, you'll see that it updates in real time. So we've currently won a lead for 2,500. Let's go back to that pipeline, and let's say we want to make edits. We can just click on the contact here and make changes how we wish. Now, another super critical aspect of this, or feature rather, is that we can move over to our conversations here. And you'll see that nothing's here. If we went to all, we'd be able to see all the conversations we have. And I'll get back into this in a second. But from here, what we can do is hit this little note. We can type in a customer name. So what did I do? Parent 1. We could select a template. I'll get into those in a bit. Let's say we want to send them a text. And what it's going to do is send this template text that I have to this contact. And if we hit send message, my company phone just received a text from this account. So, if we go to all again, you can see that our text was sent and it was unsuccessful because I haven't set a phone number up for this account, right? It's a template. So, let's go back to a working account. Okay, so you'll see that I have already automated processing here that when I made a donation, it sent a notification to that account manager, hey, somebody just donated. Please update the CRM with any information, blah, blah, blah. But it also sent the donor a thank you text and that we'd be in touch soon. And we could see all that here. Now, you'll also see the details of that contact over here on the right. And if we click on that name there, you'll see their activity, so how they came to be in touch with this CRM, right? I visited a page, a bunch of pages. I filled out a form, visited some more pages, and on and on and on. But this also goes for incoming phone calls, text messages, both ways. All that information is stored here. And the details of this contact are stored here in the left. You'll notice that we were also moved over to this contact section. So if I hit back, go to our contacts, you'll see that our contact list is set up here. Now, from this contact section, this is where all your bulk actions are going to be. Let's say that you had to cancel an event, or there's an immediate message that has to go out. You can send bulk emails and bulk texts through this section here. One way to do that is just to select the contacts that you want to send the message to. The other method is to use filters. So let's say I want to send all the donor contacts a message at once. I'd go to more filters. I'm going to search for a filter. So what I'm going to do is tags. You could just start typing it. And then it gives us the options to distinguish how we're going to filter. So the tag is, I'm going to say is, select the tag, and I'm going to find donor. Now you'll see that this updates in real time the list. So if we have 100 contacts here and 20 of them are donors, we would have 20 contacts listed here. Or let's say we have players, right, and it's been rainy, so we want to cancel practice, right? We'd run this filter. The tag would be players or skaters or dancers or whatever. Select those tags that we want to message, and then what we can do is hit this to select all of those contacts and navigate up to the top here to send an SMS, so a text message, or send an email. Let's send a text. So I'll go to send SMS. This always comes up. Doesn't mean anything. Hit OK, proceed. And then we can come over here. If you have a template set up, you can select that template. And then you can pick how you want it to be delivered. So send all at once, which is fine for smaller amounts of contacts. Send at a scheduled time. So if you're trying to increase your open rate, you may pay attention to the analytics. Or you can send in drip mode, and you definitely want to do this if you're sending a bunch of messages or to a bunch of people. So what's a bunch? I don't know. Be safe. Let's say over 100. And you always have to enter a description for the action. So we would say text blasting the donors thank you. And then we would hit send SMS. Now, we don't have to use a template. We could just start typing out our text. Thank you for donating. If we come over here, we can add custom fields. So typically, most of them are going to be in our contact field. So we could say first name and thank you for donating. And then it would say Jason because we're texting Jason. If you have questions about any of these other custom fields, just let me know. It can get super in depth, so I'm not going to get into it currently. But the same thing goes for sending emails. Same process. Pick a template if you'd like. You don't really have to change these because your account will be set up with the proper information, but you will have to put a subject in if you're not using a template. If you use a template, all this will populate right away. If not, then we have to enter this. Thanks for donating. Hey, custom values again, right? Jason, thanks for donating. Now, this will populate with whoever is in your list. So when it sends to Jason, it'll say, hey, Jason. When it sends to Billy Bob, it'll say, hey, Billy Bob. And then again, we'd have to enter our action description and just send it off. But that's how you do bulk messages quickly. Now, the next thing we can do from here, and this is especially useful for, say, setting up groups, is we can create a smart list. Now to save this smart list, right, so I want to save a list of all the donors so that I can quickly find it. All I have to do is come up here to this plus sign, punch it in, and I'm going to name it donors. Excuse me, and hit save. So after that, you'll see up here now that I'm in the smart list donors. If I come back over to all, we have all of our contacts. So instead of having to run the filter every time, to find who you're targeting, say for your players to cancel a practice, you can create that smart list and easily navigate to it here at the top. Now, the next important thing is, let's say you have a contact list that's already set up and you want to import it to your CRM. Well, an important thing to do is to format it properly. So what you're going to need to do is punch it into a Google Sheet or an Excel sheet, and you're going to want to use first name, last name, email, phone number, and then tags. You can add all kinds of other information, but this is the minimum of what I recommend you try to have in your contact sheet. Then what you're going to want to do is save it as a CSV file. Okay, so I've got that saved. Now what I'm going to do is go back to the CRM, and we're going to hit this Import Contacts button. Now we have to hit Select File. We're going to navigate to it. And we're going to find our CSV file. Then what it's going to do is try to match the fields that you have to the contact format here. So we're looking for first name as first name, last name as last name, email, email, phone number, phone number. Then member type, right? So that was in our Excel sheet as a tag. What we want to do is change this to a tag. I don't know why I'm missing this. And then we'll hit continue. So it's showing us an example. Oh, the phone number doesn't come in because the CRM won't read 555-555-5555. And we'll hit continue. Now, it's asking right now if there's already a contact in the CRM with this information. Do we want to update them with the Excel or the CSV information, or not modify them at all, basically? So you're going to have to decide how you want to treat that and hit continue. We can also add a tag to each of these new clients being imported. So I'm just going to put import as an example, but you can add as many as you want, and we're going to hit done. So it's going to work for a second. And you see now that our client or our contact was now imported. And you'll also see that the tags were imported as well. Now, one thing you'll notice is that the tags that we had in our Excel sheet, not all of them were imported, right? Only sponsor was. Well, why is that? It's because the tag was not already created in the CRM. So let's address that. What we can do is come down to settings. We'll go down to tags, and then we can create our new tags. And if we go back to our contacts, we can then add them here. I mentioned this earlier, but it's really important that when we have, if it's a lead for a sale or a donation or a sponsorship, it's really important that we add our lead value to a contact. So what we need to do, our contacts may be in here, and maybe we don't have conversations with them, right? John Doe and Jane Doe are not in our conversations. And therefore, they won't be in our opportunities in any of our pipelines. So what we need to do is go back to our contacts, and we can pick on one. And if we scroll down, we can add them to an opportunity. And what we're going to do is pick the pipeline, which we don't have in this category. So this is a bad example. Let me back up. Let me go to the one I made for the Midwest Rugby Development Foundation. So I'm in my contact information. And if we scroll down, you'll see that I am in the opportunities as in the active donor category. And I'll just show you that again. In opportunities, I'm in the donor pipeline in the active category. So if we go back to our contacts, and let's say we want to add the spam phone caller, but any of our contacts, let's call them spammy. We can scroll down and say add to an opportunity. We're going to select our pipeline. Let's say it's a sponsor lead, and we pick our stage. So they're a prospect. It's very important that we add our lead value. Oops, forgot to add an opportunity name. So this is spammy. Again, if we go back to our dashboard, we should see everything updates in real time. Pipeline value, conversion rate's 50% because another contact is in our opportunities in a pipeline with a value attached to it. Okay, the next thing I want to show you is how to set up templates for text messages and for emails. So what we need to do is come down to email marketing, and it's going to pull up our email builder. Now with this, you can create some beautiful emails from templates that are already here. Or select blank to build from scratch. Now, if you've ever used anything like an HTML builder, this is exactly the same. Excuse me. Add text. Hello world. Thanks much. Add images. social icons, footers. You can put it in a shopping cart. You can put in custom code, etc. Once you're done, you'd hit, well, you definitely want to name it. But under settings, this is super important. This is what the recipient of this email will see. So let's say it's coming from KleinHausCRM. I'd say KleinHausCRM. The from address would be info@KleinHausCRM.com. Our subject line, hello world. Preview text, we don't really have to do that. But you can if you want. That's what shows up in the line of your recipient's inbox. An internal email name. So that's this here. Hit save. Send or schedule. So we can click our contacts or tags. So any contacts that we have with those tags, it would be sent to, or use lists. And then we can schedule it here. And then we can simply click review and send. Or if we're not sending it to anybody, we can hit review and send, and it'll just save for us right here, from which we can use anytime in the future, like say for those bulk actions. Also, if you go to templates, many of you guys will already have templates set up, like thank you for contacting us that I've created, or that some of my staff have created. Some of our team put together some beautiful templates for you guys. And if they're not in there yet, they'll be coming with updates of the software. But importantly here, we can add different types of templates. We have emails and we have texts. To create one, you simply come up here to add template, pick an email or a text, and it works the same way as we were talking about earlier. Name this template, so text example, type in your text. Hey, this is text from an example. You get a preview of it here. You can attach files, even in text, and you can send a test. So what I'm going to do is send this to myself. I hope you heard that. I just got this text, so I know that it works. And I'll respond back to it. Let me just save this. And I'm going to type in howdy and send. So now if I go into conversations, you'll see I just responded howdy. And you'll see what we sent from the CRM. Now, if people are reaching out to the number that you have connected to the CRM, they may not automatically be added to the opportunities. So, from this conversation section, what we need to do is create opportunity. We'll add in this contact, add them to a pipeline, add them to a stage, enter their lead value, and we can assign them to an owner again, like I said, and tell them, and add a source. So let's say text blast. Now if we go back to our opportunities, in the sponsor pipeline, we'll see that I am a current sponsor with $50,000 tag or value associated with me. Okay, now what I'm going to do is show you how to create forms and surveys. We can come down to our sites section here. You can create funnels, which I'm actually finishing up a video on now. That's way more technical and detailed, but you will have access to that soon. You can create websites, memberships, so you can build out courses. But for most of us, what we're going to be interested in are forms and surveys. You simply go to sites, comes up to forms. You'll see I have several forms here already. But if we want to make a new one, we just come to create new form. And we can start building our form by just dragging and dropping these options over. Now again, I think it's super important to always get this set of data. First name, last name, phone, and email. That way you can always email them, you can always text them. But you can get all kinds of other information in here. I like to put a CAPTCHA in and a button, for submit. And maybe an image with your logo. And maybe a description. So I just dragged and dropped our text over. If I click on it, I could say, this is a text box. I can format it with a few different fonts, change the color, 246. Change the sizing and the weight. Now for the first name, if I click on it, we can change this information. We typically don't have to do that. It can get really screwy if you start changing these too much down the road. So I recommend not changing those too much. Maybe the placeholder, right? So what's your first name? What's your first name? And make it required. Same thing with the last name. We want to make it required. You'll see this little asterisk here. That means that it's now required by the person filling it out. We can also stylize our button. If we come down to full width, kind of looks better. We can round the corners. There's all kinds of stuff we can do with stylizing here. Have fun with it. But let's go back here. So these are our standard fields. We can also create custom fields, and I have tons of them in a lot of your accounts. So you scroll down to the bottom, hit Add Custom Field, and you have a whole bunch of different options. I'll probably be creating another video about these in the future, so stay tuned. But that option is there for you. Up here at the top we have styles, so we can make them inline. We can show or hide the label, and we can change the background colors and fonts. And if you're good with custom coding, you can add some CSS to stylize your form. And then we could add agency branding, kind of promote KleinHaus. Next to that we have options, so we can name our form, test form, and once somebody hits the button, we need to tell it what we want it to do. So we can just create a message. Thanks for filling this out. And we can add our Facebook pixel. So if somebody fills out this form, it stores their information not only in the CRM but also with the Facebook pixel, so you can target the same audience interested in people who fill out your form. And then sticky contact, if we turn that on, then people that have already filled out this form or the information stored in their browser, their contact information will pop up and make it easier for the user. Highly recommend this for most forms. So let's come down to integrate form. And if we go to, you can embed the form by copying this code here and pasting it into your website. It's just simple HTML. Or you can come over to link and you can share your link or add it to a bit.ly account so that you get a short code. But if we hit this button here, we can preview our form. Nice and simple. Here's the form that we just created. And if we fill it out, I'm not a robot, we'll submit it. You'll see that the message comes up. The other option that I showed here for on submit is open an URL, and you can put in your page. Let's say and let's try it again. Oops. So I have to save it first, so apologize about that. But anyway, you can send it back to your thank you page on your website. So we save our form. I already talked about how we can integrate it everywhere. So I think that's it for forms. If you have any questions, hit me up. But surveys work similarly. We create a new survey. We name our first slide, and we can start adding information. Again, we have custom fields. We can style it how we like. And under our options, we actually have more options. I should create another video for all of this too. It can get pretty in-depth because there's conditional logic here. So we'll get into that in a future video. But the options here, let me know if you have any questions. Okay, the next thing that I should go over is in this media file here, so sites and then media. Go to Open Media Library. And here we can upload our files, so files that we're going to use for forms and surveys and funnels and websites, anything like that. We want to upload them here, and we can also create folders to store our files in. Now, we can't drag them. I apologize. We can drag our pictures if we already have them uploaded, or files, whatever they are, and drop them there. If we'd like to, double-click on a folder to open it, and use this top section here to go back and forth between our different sections. Now, if you right-click on it, we can get the link for that file. We can move it, rename it, or delete it. But it's important to get the files that you want to use into your CRM for funnels, products, and the like. Okay, so what I'm going to do is head back. And I think that's it for now. The next video I'm going to make is going to have some of those things that I was talking about earlier, but also coming up in the future, I want to go over calendars, teams, how to create scheduling, how to create and automate workflows. So real quickly, I'll show you that. Under automation, we have workflows. So for instance, most of you guys will already have a contact form filled workflow. If I click on it, you'll see what it does. Under here, this is our trigger. So what makes this workflow start? A form is submitted. Which form? Well, it's the Get in Touch contact form, which we likely have embedded on a website. Once that form is submitted by a user, then they're added to a pipeline. So this form, they're added to the donors under the prospect stage, that category. And the opportunity name is that contact's name. We can add a lead value, etc. Then a text message is sent to the person who filled out the form, and it's based on a template. It also sends them an email, again, with a template. And then it assigns it to a user, so a teammate in our CRM. And then it notifies our teammate. This is a super simple workflow, but what it does is when somebody tries to get in touch with this organization, it automatically adds them to the pipeline as an opportunity. It gives them, we can set it up so it automatically gives them tags, sends them text messages, emails, assigns them to our teammates, and sends us notifications. And that's just the bare minimum. These workflows are super powerful. They can automate scheduling, payments, reviews for Google and Facebook, all kinds of things. Please reach out to me if you have any questions about this. Looks like we're way over time, and I've inundated you guys with a bunch of information, but this is the really important stuff for you to know and at least have seen. Please reach out to me if you have a question, comment, concern, and let's keep building. Let's keep growing. I really appreciate you guys. So stay well. Cheers.